Let's take a look at the New York State testing program, and I want to be able to show you some of the types of questions that your children will have to be able to answer when they take this test. This is a very brief video. It will just simply give you an opportunity to take a look at what your students should know. And this is a sample that is taken from the Grade 4 exam back in 2016. These are released questions from the state. So the first thing you'll see is that there is a reading comprehension section. This one is called an excerpt from the facts and fictions of Minna Pratt. And what I want you to notice about this is that the language within the text is pretty sophisticated. It's something that a fourth grader, I believe, should know, but there are seventh graders, honestly, that will struggle with some of these sentences. So, for example, the streets were grimy with spring. Willie played Tchaikovsky on the corner, music that made Minna feel sad and peaceful at the same time. Next to the violin case, the small brown dog slept curled like a sausage. A woman in a fur coat, look at this word, peering, bobbing, okay? And this is the type of thing that your children will get accustomed to as they read more and more passages like this. So when this is done now, we move on to the next phase of this, which is the actual questions. Now you'll notice that these questions are interesting because they will force a student to go right back to the passage. So you see in paragraph 1, what does Minna learn from watching Willie? And so he'll have to go. The student will have to go back and find the answer to that. What new information about Willie? Again, that's a comprehension question. And then here's a definition question. So the student is going to have to read these sentences. Okay, we'll go back to that question here from paragraph 18, and then go back and find what this sentence means. He peered at Minna. It is like a light going on over your head. What does the phrase "a light going on over your head" mean as it is used in paragraph 18? So, again, vocabulary in context. And then there's a theme question about the overall paragraph. Which statement best reflects the theme of the story? And now, this type of question is very interesting. Read these sentences from the story. Willie is a fine musician, Minna, and he was a fine musician before he got his vibrato. And he will play it wonderfully, in tune, with or without a vibrato. How do these sentences develop the story overall? And so you see now what we're going to be forced to do, or what the student rather, because we're not taking this test, what the student is going to have to do is go back to the story and follow it step by step and look at the overall development of the story. So the story as a whole, the story in part, the student will have to understand these sentences in the context of the entire story. So what they're trying to avoid are students just not reading the story, but looking at the questions and then trying to answer them. That's not going to work on this exam. And then a sentence that characterizes the main character. Which sentence best describes Minna? So that's the reading comprehension section of this particular test. Just one example of that. Notice there were different types of questions. Okay. But each of them is going to require, in my opinion, a thorough reading of the story and a thorough understanding of that story. And vocabulary is going to be very important. You see, words like eagerness. Your student will have to know your child will have to know what eagerness means. You say, well, I think they know that. The word reflects even. Best reflects. Well, what does that mean? Sometimes students think of reflection as something in a mirror. But you see, so even the phrase, what does a phrase mean? And these are things that you want to make sure that your child is familiar with the type of passage, but also the way in which questions are going to be phrased. Okay? So in our next video, we're going to look at Book 2 of the Language Arts exam.